Hey YouTube, good morning. I'm back a little bit late. We've got FSD Beta version 10.11, build number 22.4.5.15 installed here. No new navigation data. I'm going to do a quick Memorial Park run. I've already shown the release notes. I think everybody knows that by now. Basically, it looks like they added a new Lane's neural network using the bag of points. There's lots of great descriptions on the internet. If you haven't listened to Dave Lee and James Douma talk about it, that's probably the most detailed description I've heard so far about what these release notes mean. If you want a deep dive, I would recommend going there. But I've got Memorial Park in here. We'll do the round robin and discussion. There's one unprotected left in this route. I might do an unprotected full length video later on today or tomorrow, just for everyone's enjoyment. I know everyone likes those. But in any case, here we go. We'll start off with an unprotected... Well, it won't even go in there. Look at that. It won't let me go in to autopilot when I'm too close to that right edge. That's kind of like my unmarked roads video. This drivable space thing's an interesting little situation. All right, I'm going to go here. Full screen view, since the route is not that exciting. Let's see how this creep is. It needs to slow down. Okay, now it's in the lane. Wow, it feels like it's in the lane. It's not quite in the lane, but man, it's way out there. But it stopped when it saw that car coming. Now it's clear, it can proceed. Quite a good boost on that acceleration there. So it did that okay, but boy, it stuck my nose out pretty far. But it stopped when it needed to, so I'm not going to complain about that one. But an inexperienced FSD driver might have been a little bit confused by that. A few other things I think that are interesting to note on this build while we're kind of on this straightaway is it looks like they brought the superchargers back here on the map view, so you don't have to go into the navigate to do that, which is kind of nice. When I was in park, there was a Sentry light up here that looked like it was new. It's not up here now. And when I was in park, the profiles view, I think, was up in the top menu. I think that was new. I'm pretty sure it is. So the reviews so far, since I'm not the first person to test this build, I got it early in the release, but I was out of town. The reviews from some of the other beta testers I've heard have been a little bit concerned about some of the lane changes. Still kind of being a little bit awkward, jumping out of line when perhaps you just needed to wait with the planner. Still some reports of phantom braking. We'll see if we see any of that today. And in general, I've heard some compliments on the smoothness of the creeping. And all right, so there was a little unnecessary blinker there that was in and out. It just kind of, and I probably wouldn't have noticed had the side view mirror, the blind spot camera not come up. Braking there for that car, pretty aggressive. Not, felt a little stronger than I would have done because I knew he was turning right. All right, this is where I normally disconnect and turn to the right up here at this light to force the route. I really wish they would get drive-through waypoints working. All right, I'm disconnecting with the stalk, turning right. And like usual, when I'm on this drive, this time of day, this is direct sunlight in my eyes. I've got to have ball cap on so I can kind of keep my head down a little bit. Hopefully the cabin camera won't nag at me. All right, looks like the light turned red on us. So while we're sitting here at the stoplight, you can possibly see the fire truck over to the right. And this has been described by several. Look how the 3D asset, oop, it flipped around backwards. It shrinks rather than jitters now. Wow, look at that. It went from a bus to a fire, to a semi, Back to a fire truck. But they shrink and grow rather than jump around like they used to. That was a pretty good description. All right, protected left here with an arrow. Big pause there, big pause there. There's a car behind me, but I let it go. And other than that uncertainty pause in the middle, which was a little bit annoying when you got people trying to make a green arrow, the arc was good, but that pause was bad. So that was a little bit of uncertainty there. All right, this is really interesting. So we've got a fire truck ahead with his lights flashing because he's doing his backup trick into the fire station here. So we got an opportunity to see the 3D asset. There is no identification of emergency vehicle alerts or anything like that, but that was a really good one to perhaps capture. That there's still nothing there yet. Here to the right, we've got parking spots that we cannot drive in those spots, and it's still not marking those lanes necessarily. You can see the cars. Some cones around one of these signs. It looks like the sign is being marked as a truck that time. Interesting. All right, we got some new orange barrels here. Looks like we got some construction from previous runs of this. This is good. A little bit of a construction zone analysis. Let's see how we do here. We got a double green light with some lead cars. It should just go straight through these barrels, no problem. But look at where these cones are placed. Wow. It's kind of driving right through them, which means it sort of knows it's not very accurate at cone placement right now. At least it's not stopping for them. Okay, I cannot go my normal route here, and I've got to tap the brake. This light has been disabled. Oh wow, they're turning this into a traffic circle. It got completely confused and stopped there. That might have been stopping for map data. That's going to be worth some reanalysis for sure. Let me see if the route is redone, and it has. Oh, that'll be a fun intersection to work through now that they're giving me a traffic circle there. And a heavy construction zone for maybe a few months to work through. So now we're a little bit off the beaten path of my normal route. It's still a very good route direction, maybe even a little bit better, because there's a lot of opportunity for pedestrians up in this little village we're getting ready to go through. And this S-turn, it used to use blinkers, and I haven't seen a blinker. Well, there's a blinker. Okay, so when it turns around these sharp corners, it's using heavy blinker usage on the turns. Heavy wasn't the right word. And there's another blinker. Sorry, I was being very cautious there because I didn't want it to cross these yellow lines for these oncoming cars. I've heard a few reports that it is crossing yellow lines occasionally, but it did just fine there. All right, we're coming up on a little village called Avondale. Neighborhood's probably a better word for it here in Florida. A lot of cars parked off to the edges, a lot of pedestrians. Okay, it gave me an alert there for that man that was at his trunk. It did some braking, but ended up proceeding. I didn't see what the alert was in real time because I was looking outside. A lot of crosswalks here. There's a person with dogs over to the left waiting at the crosswalk. I'd say it did that okay. You know, the alert for that pedestrian was interesting because he could have jumped out. Here we got a car parking. It slowed down. Let's see what that reacceleration is like. That wasn't bad. You got a woman getting out of a car here with a wheelchair. It sees her, but it didn't slow down or anything. I think it did really good there. Other than maybe the alert, but the actual brake and then the reaccelerate was just fine. So there were a few comments about the VRU detection. VRUs are basically bicycles, pedestrians, pets, things that could interact. And I think that was a bit of an improvement there. And I have heard that from some of the other testers that they felt it was behaving good around pedestrians. It used to kind of not slow down early enough and kind of scare dog walkers and bikers that you didn't see them. Apparently it's slowing down a little bit earlier now. But this is a little bit of a benign two-lane road here. Normally right about now I have my yellow flashing light opportunities. We're not going to hit that on this direction today unless I deviate it over to the left, but I'm just going to let it ride here. Oh, we do have a flashing here. I forgot about this one. So let's see if we get any red lights here. Yep, there it's flashing red. It's blinking yet yellow and red. And it did not brake at all. It stayed at 33 exactly the whole time there. So just a little bit of color detection still, but it behaved appropriately. Lots of parked cars here on the right, and occasional white lines marking the parking spots. It looks like those white lines are showing up pretty good, keeping the drivable space accurate. All right, here we got a great scenario that I don't get to do very often because I normally don't go this way. It's a quick left and then change lanes to get to the right. Nice there. Left turn. Now it needs to get the right blinker on, and it did. And it even cut off a car to get over there a little bit, but it got over there just fine. So that was another thumbs up for that quick lane change there. We got a right on red opportunity here. It did a full stop. We do have a dog walker over here, and he waited on us. Give him a little wave because the car was proceeding. I think if they had come up a little closer to the curb, it probably would have waited there. All right, for those of you familiar with this route, we're back on the road I normally was through. This guy was approaching the crosswalk there, but it did not wait for him. And then he crossed right behind me. That is one of those scenarios where the state law says stop for pedestrians. It didn't stop there. I don't know if he'd have walked any closer if it would have stopped. That's interesting logic there. Light turned yellow right underneath it. It was identified appropriately. Looks like it did that just fine. Roads are a little bit wet here. I don't think it's going to do anything different, but it's driving right through the puddles where these people in front of me are going around them. Okay, there was a big pothole there that I think that car went around. I actually disengaged to avoid it a little bit. Potholes are another future feature we would all love to have because, boy, just driving right through them, you can really damage a rim pretty bad if it's a pretty deep one. They don't have that problem around here horribly bad, but when they are there, they're usually pretty big. I don't know if it's just me noticing it or not, but I feel like I'm noticing brake lights a little bit more consistent on this build so far. I'll watch that on the next leg a little bit closer to see if brake lights are a little bit more prominent. All right, this is the end of leg one. Disengaging with the stalk. A couple little disengagements there, a couple little alerts, but in general, I don't think it was horrible. Obviously, I didn't throw it in any crazy challenging scenarios. And my little U-turn spot here has got quite a bit of traffic today. The creeping off of the first turn was a little aggressive, but it was accurate. It did it just fine. I think that was, probably an improvement. The pedestrians, I encountered quite a few more than I normally do, so I'm not really going to say it's better or worse there, but I think it did a pretty good job seeing them. As far as the lane changes, my only real good evaluation of that one was that quick left and right that we had, that it did a good job, even to the point of not waiting on that car behind me. It was aggressive and got over in front of it. So that was a good a navigation situation there where it knew it needed to get over, so it did. So here I've got a situation with a construction truck that's doing some backing up. I'm going to go ahead and engage here and see what it does. If you notice, it's got a pickup truck. Looks like it's marking the trailer as a semi-truck. I'm going to see if it's patient here while he's backing this in. It's got a blinker on to go around him, but it's patiently waiting. Looks like he's clear. Let's see when it decides to go. Interesting. That was good. You know, if he'd have kind of scooted back up to redo his trailer, I bet it would have tried to interfere. But because he smoothly continued backing up, it didn't. It just waited. So here's this three-point turn, not three-point turn, but a three-direction intersection here. It's kind of a sharp angle to the left, and some of those barrels on the other side of the road are being marked. And let's see where it waits there. Okay. It did a pretty good job there. It was wide open, so it didn't have any traffic to deal with, but it wasn't hesitant on continuing. So I think that was good. So that would also be creeping there at a good rate without being too hesitant. So I've always said that I think the car does a pretty good job in low traffic scenarios deciding, you know, the path. High speed traffic that interjects in between the decision being made to go and then stopping is where I feel right now it's still just, it can't quite think fast enough is a way to perhaps say it like a human. And it's second guessing of itself after something changes. It usually can leave itself in a bad situation. It doesn't seem to quite get the fact that once you commit into a dangerous situation, proceeding is a better option than stopping in the middle of the lane. That hadn't happened today, but that's typically how I've felt that the process of dealing with traffic is an issue. So here we are with waiting, and I heard the blinker again. I wasn't looking down. It might have been thinking it wanted to go around this car, but this lane, it had to stay in this lane in order to proceed straight. Double checking my route here. Yep, okay. Another Tesla. Seeing a lot more of them in Jacksonville these days. All right, it should proceed directly through this light without pausing. Looks like it did okay. Yeah, just kind of straight and narrow down this little double yellow line road here following these cars. It's doing a good follow distance. It's not phantom braking for these cars on the other side for me at all. It might be locked onto this car in front of me too. Sometimes I wonder, a little bit of a jerk on the trajectory there. Okay, I'm disengaging here to proceed straight and let it reroute. That's not the reroute I want. Another flashing yellow here. Okay, it's slowing. Ooh, 15. That is not accurate. Why did it go to 15 there? Interesting. I'm gonna bump it up. Church entrance. No, it wasn't. I was thinking maybe there was a school zone sign there, but there's no school here. So I'm not really sure what it was doing there, but it slowed down to 15 in an area that's not 15. Interesting. All right, we got a multi-direction stop here. We've got a couple other cars in front of us. It doesn't look like it's going to have any sort of waiting to do. Let's see how... Okay, it got all the way down. That was a full stop. Now it needs to creep instead of just go here. And it's wide to the left, but it's creeping. Let's see how this creep goes. really, I'm in the road and it's still basically at creep speed. So once you're in the road, you might as well go. A little bit more boost than necessary there. And I'm taking a left here. Well, you know, I do have that construction that might not have that light open today. I may need to adjust the route at the end, but I'll try to jump in. We'll interact with the traffic one more time. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the left here. All right, here's the other side of those flashing yellows we normally see. I think we've already identified it. It's going to give me a little bit of red and probably just proceed. There's yellow. Didn't see any red on that one. Speed was good. Yellow there too. No red. That was, so maybe they have improved it a little bit. Maybe the lighting was a little bit better there today. All right, so we're starting to get pedestrians here. Is it going to wait for them? I'm going to go ahead and hit the brake there because she entered the road. It might have proceeded, but it didn't look like it was going to. So had she not jumped into the road, I probably would have let it go there. But once she jumped in the road and it wasn't stopping, I disengaged. I'm going to go ahead and mark that one. What is it doing here? It's changed. Oh, I don't want to, you know, it might be routing around this traffic construction that it may know of. Normally it does not take this route. We'll see what it does. Yeah, it's avoiding this intersection. So there's my corrective steering as I'm driving, and it does not like me crossing that yellow line at all. So we're going to go in a little bit of a different road here. We'll see where it takes us today. So this maybe isn't the best test route to compare versions, but we'll get a little bit of a different look. Here I'm on an unmarked 2-lane road, and I know I've done a separate video on this, and I'll probably do one on this version too. When you have these narrowish roads, it uses the center of the road a little bit too much, and it doesn't get over with oncoming cars quite as well. That was on the previous version, so that'll be a great test on this one also. Doesn't look like I'm going to get it here. All right, I've got a car with his hazards on at the stoplight. It's got a right blinker, not a left blinker. Now this car is hazarded on. I'm just going to sit here and see what it does. Okay, he's scooting forward. Now he turned, so maybe just me scooting up behind him, he decided to proceed. I don't know why he would be waiting there. Okay, it needs to stop here also. Okay, it's clear, but it's in the road. Very hesitant there. It needed to kind of commit again once it got into the road. So this intersection is a protected green arrow, but it's got a lot of funky angles on it. And when I say funky angles, I don't know, you can kind of see with the bird's eye view a little bit. It does, but it looks like it's seeing the light correctly. But if you can tell looking out the front camera, it's like I'm in the opposing traffic lane. Like if those cars weren't looking at their lines very well, it would look like we would have a head-on collision. And to the car, it might look like that. But it doesn't seem to be freaking out at all about these cars coming right at us. The lane lines are kind of doing their job there. Okay, we got our green arrow. It's proceeding. Got a median, it can't jump there. Ooh, boy. It saw it, but it saw it late. It started, that was good. It saw it had a mapped path, and then it saw the median and corrected relatively smoothly and didn't jump that median there. That was good. All right, and he's getting the left lane here. Let's see if you can see that. It looks like it did that okay. So this is Roosevelt that normally I get one unprotected left on this drive to see, but today it looks like the construction at that new roundabout is going to prevent that. So that last turn, I'm going to give some props to. While it was a little jerky, that's what Vision saw it, you know. Camera placement, distance, resolution, whatever your opinion is on how the camera suite is on these cars, that shouldn't have been a problem seeing. This front camera should have seen it just fine, and it saw it in time to correct the course, and it didn't do a pause in the intersection. Well, but it did do a pause, you know, at the beginning of the drive. All right, protected green arrow here. Let's see what this arc looks like. If it has it all. Got a little dashed yellow line that it did not map. It had a good speed on that one. That was good. I need a boost here, though. 20. Whoa. That's new. I let it bump it up. That is correct. But it turned to 20 miles an hour initially on there, which slowed it down right out of the turn. Huh. So there's some new map data in here that I've never witnessed before. Now, granted, I don't do that turn a whole lot while my cameras are rolling, but I've never seen 2 instances of bad speeds being thrown in there. Interesting. Okay. Not too bad for that car there. It was pretty good. Slowed down for him to get in the other lane, then it jumped over. Why it's jumping? Oh, it's jumping out of this lane. It shouldn't have jumped that. That was impatient. That was... I hit the lock instead of the camera. That's the first time that's ever happened. That, you know, I don't know why it jumped into this lane. Maybe it just saw it as a little bit of a faster one. I've got my lane changes set on mild, so it should be a little bit more patient than that. But while we're sitting here, I don't know what you guys think about all the taillights. It looks like it's marking taillights a little bit better in this version. This intersection's mapped pretty well with what it can see and what it can't see. Quite a bit behind us. Got a little bike lane marking over there. Obviously it can't, well, I can see that biker. That's interesting. I wonder if that's being mapped with Vision or a map asset. All right, here we go. All right, I hear a siren. And there he is. Interesting. So that is a perfect use case where I as a human heard the truck before I saw it, and where Elon has said one day it will listen and use audible signals. So I didn't see or hear anything about emergency vehicles, but the cars in front of me were stopping before I saw it. And we got another emergency vehicle up here. Wow, we are getting all of the emergency vehicles today, and there's a train stopped on the track. So the police are here. Okay, I disengaged there to go around. He was starting to come over. I'm not exactly sure what the incident is, but there's a train stopped here. Gosh, I hope nobody got hit by a train. That would not be good. So there was no appropriate avoiding of emergency vehicles there. I disengaged, I went around. Arguably, I probably should have disengaged a little bit sooner than I did, but there was a police car coming up from behind that was actually starting to wedge into my lane, so. Well, you know, we got one more unprotected left up here, depending on the color of the light. I'm gonna give an above. You know, if I were a flight instructor, we do grades on, you know, 1 above, 2 aboves. 2 aboves is very rare. 1 above is good. Average is what you would expect. Below average is, you know, kind of need to work on something, and a 2 below average is kind of like you flunked. So if I were a flight instructor today, I'm going to give this a 1 above. You know, it did pretty good. There were some improvements there. You know, average would have been like, yeah, it's kind of the same. You did what expected. There was some good behaviors, I think, in here. Obviously, okay, it needs to wait or really go. What's it going to do? Okay, it waited. That was good. It had the gap to commit there, but it needed to use boost to do it. Okay, there's a tiny gap here. It needs to give it the boost. And that was nice. That was a perfect unprotected left with the green light. It made me nervous it was going to go before it should have, but it didn't. It waited. A little bit of a wide turn here, and that was good. And here's the end of my drive. So, you know, I saw some changes. You know, 10.11, you know, I think the creeping behavior is a little bit different. It stopped in some good spots. You know, its commit when it's in the lane is still a bit of a problem. Once you're in the lane, you might as well go, because now you're just potentially risking an accident. A lot of emergency vehicles in this video. Maybe you guys can make some comments in the videos about what you think, what you saw. I obviously can't look at the screen constantly, but I did not see any notifications that it was acting according to the emergency vehicles. We had one great scenario where I could hear the emergency vehicle before I could see it because of the traffic around me. That's the use case for having microphones that are an input source to, you know, honks or emergency vehicles or sirens, trains, different things that might be relevant to safe driving. And beyond that, you know, let's just comment on it below. Sorry it took me a few extra days to get this out. Sometimes the day job takes precedence. Have a great day, everybody.